Lewis, great to see you. Great to see that smile on your face. We were just talking about whether it's sunk in or not. I guess it's a great feeling waking up on race day now, knowing the championship's done and you can just go racing as you did in Brazil, as we saw in Brazil.
Well, I think honestly, I don't. That's not the thought process when I wake up. Every single race, including the one I've got coming up, I have the same thought process on this Sunday. So you have the questions. How's it going to go? Depending on obviously what position you are, you prepare yourself the same way. So you have the same anxiousness. You have the same anxiety. It doesn't mean that you're relaxed.
Which is a good thing, because then you're not getting out of any sort of program or zone, and 2018 will happen very quickly, and
because every single race you want to win. You want to perform at your best. You want to make the right moves. You want to never lose time. You always want to improve. So you have those same challenges, regardless if you're fighting for the championship or not. So in the last one, I was starting from last. I felt like I was, I fought like I was fighting for the championship still. Gave it no less than I would do if I was.
Nice how the pit lane start enabled you to miss all the melee in the first corner and just weave through.
Yeah.
But then the thing that really struck me was how you were able to be so near the traffic and the passes you've made. And we've been hearing all year that the Merc's not easy to drive behind other cars.
Yeah, I think, I know you look very closely at lines and stuff, and when you kind of turn a little bit earlier than the car in front, so you still get a bit of the downforce. But yeah, down the pit straight, the car starts shaking and doing all these things like it's never done before. So it was a little bit nerving in those moments. Yeah, and I was a little bit offset, and I was able to look after, keep temperature out my tyres a little bit more than the other guys. So
almost a perfect tyre strategy as well. I mean, it's annoying that strategy ever has to come into racing at all, really, in some ways. But it was like 2 laps before the end, you could I guess the tyres just went away from you.
They just died right at the end. I couldn't.
And Kimi was able to say, I did it.
Yeah, it was. And the crazy thing is, I was only 5 seconds away from Sebastian. So no.
You could see him when you can see them.
I don't understand they was miles away at the beginning, 20 seconds or whatever it was, and somehow caught it up. So
well, he will say that he was cruising, of course.
As he probably was, because it was in the lead. So
I never got a chance to speak to you after your pole lap at Monza, and it's very easy to say, Lewis was on the pole in the wet, but it was 1.2 seconds quicker than Max. Tell us a little bit more about that. I want to know about the Lesmos. I want to know about Parabolica.
Jeez, man.
How you did all that.
I remember that one.
You have to remember. It has to be maybe your best ever pole.
Dude, I travel so much. I've been in three or four different countries in the past 3 days. So it always seems like a blur. And that was a long time ago. Was it Monza?
It was wet.
Very wet.
Very, very wet.
I think in those conditions, it was like a karting day for me. So, and the karting days were the easiest for me, because that was really when you were able to shine a little bit more, but just doing the different lines that everyone else drives in normal lines, man.
Maybe not Max, but
most of them do.
More than anyone. And so was there any corner where you weren't using the racing line? Where you were using the racing line rather? On that lap, do you think? Or was it every lap, every corner, finding the grip on the outside or the inside?
I don't know what to say, really, because I don't want to give it all up, but you can see it anyways.
Fair enough. You couldn't. That's the point, because it was so wet and the camera angles. Yeah, it was difficult. That's why I wanted to get you.
I think it's always often opposite of what you normally would do, but in some cases it's so drastically different. So then you end up just taking the normal line. So it's about fitting a combination of both. But it's really about just knowing how far you can push into the corner, knowing that the grip is there. As where a lot of people tiptoe on a normal line.
Anyway, the real point is you were 1.2 seconds quicker than anybody else for the pole, which was amazing.
And a lot of it's also tyre temperature, the importance of getting the tyres working in those conditions, but you can't get it working particularly on a slippery surface. So those are things that have been particularly quite good this year.
Speaking of tyre temperature and perhaps days when things haven't been quite as good as normal, Malaysia, a good example. What's the car been like there when you're sort of between compounds and can't get the grip and feel that you crave?
It's there's just that window in which the tyre is generally the best, and you're trying to keep the rears as low as possible because they come up easy. The fronts always take a lot longer to come in, and so working the fronts without letting the rears come up at the same time. And then traction is really important, so not breaking traction through a lap. You'll see some laps where you've just broken traction and the temperature just starts to rise and rise and rise. So that's what you're fighting over. So it's just always trying to be on the edge of the grip level, but and you can be maybe just slightly over it, but not for too long.
Would it be fair to say that management that you just described is something that you've developed and improved over the last few years, in which
I think it's something I've always been. I think I've always been generally good at it. When I was in Formula 3, I think it was quite good. In GP2 particularly, if you look at the GP2 year, there was races where I was able to make the tyres last longer than everyone seemed to have made them. And then it's always a quest when you get to Formula 1 and trying to do it. And sometimes some races you've not got the balance that enables you to do it. But this year particularly, I've really been able to hone in on firstly understanding the tools and how to use them. And for example, this year we've got a really strong front tyre that doesn't buckle in high speed. So then counteracting that with the balance has been something that I've been really good at this year. So.
We were just talking before the interview about the fact that I don't think the hard tyre has raced at any stage this year.
Well, the soft is, I mean, the ultra soft is pretty hard, so.
But next year there will be an additional compound, we think.
I think they need to just bring them all massively down. You know, we need to be doing many more pit stops and probably not do a 100-kilo car every time. You know.
That'd be nice. The car's heavy now. Big and heavy.
Man. I mean, I'm not really. Yeah, I make it no secret I'm not particularly the happiest with some of the decisions that are made. But in one sense, for example, this year, having a wider car, bigger tyres, I think has been amazing. But the effects it's had in terms of racing has just made it a little bit harder. And people watching the race, you know, one of the facts they should put on the TV is the delta time that you need per Grand. You know, so everyone we're at the Monza Grand Prix, you need this delta to overtake the car in front, so that people can understand why we can't overtake.
Ah, yes.
You know, so each race we go to is a different delta. Sometimes it's 1.4 seconds. You need to be fast in the car ahead.
Wow.
To get close enough to overtake. And some races, I think the last race was down to 8/10 or 7/10, which is one of the better ones.
And that data, that specific delta, comes up from running on Friday, I would guess, and the team's got that.
No, they got it from the history.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
for the last couple of years.
That accurate?
Yeah.
Even with the 2017
Yeah, and then
compounds?
they've got these great tools which they can put in the different
Wow.
bits of data and come up with it. So.
Yeah. In terms of your life now, you were talking about how you approach every race, but what time zone are you in right now, and how do you keep on top of everything?
Yeah, I'm definitely struggling. I've been up since I woke up at 4 a.m. this morning.
Wow.
I went straight from the race, which I didn't have a lot massive left after the last race.
I can imagine.
I got on the flight, flew to New York. It's a 9-hour flight, and everyone else on the plane was sleeping. I was awake the whole time, and I was busy. You know, I have lots of things to catch up on. I arrived there at 3 a.m. to the hotel. Then I was up at 8, and then I was working, and then I got the flight to LA that evening. Landed at midnight, up at I think 6:37 again to work on that day, and then flew straight here. Slept on the flight, landed yesterday, and I passed out super early last night. I think 8:30 or something like that. And then I woke up at 4 this morning, and so I've been up since then. So I don't know. You just keep going. I mean, I generally have a lot of energy, and there's a lot of work on right now. So.
But what do you need in terms of hours per night sleep in order to be absolutely sharp?
Probably like 5-6 hours.
Oh yeah, not 8.
I'm pretty good on. If I get a good 6, I'm generally very good.
I thought you were very, very calm and controlled in the way you reacted after Baku and everything that happened there with Sebastian. That could have been a really big moment in the career, but it looked as if you were very disciplined in the way you just focused on the next race.
Yeah, I think ultimately, I think there's different ways in which you can handle things, and I don't know, I knew what I was there to do, and I wasn't gonna let anything distract me from doing that. I wasn't gonna let myself say something or react in a way that's gonna cause some negative swirl, which is gonna steer me off course from my ultimate goal. And naturally, obviously, with the experience, you learn to just compartmentalize all those different things. So, I mean, honestly, in the race, I was not fazed at all when he did it. I was kind of like, what the hell is he doing? I think ultimately, when I spoke to him later, I was like, that's a sign of disrespect.
Yeah.
So don't ever disrespect me like that again. Otherwise, then we will have problems, kind of thing. But
well, road rage is road rage.
Exactly, and I wouldn't do that to someone. I've never done that to someone. I don't even know what he was thinking to have done, been in a position like that. But I guess people react differently under certain pressures.
When we last spoke at any length, you were saying that you're really looking forward to the moment one day when you can have a proper race with Sebastian, real racing tactics, lines, everything else. That still hasn't really happened. I mean, Austin was a clear race between you two, and you had it, and that was great. Yeah, Barcelona, kind of, but
what's kind of and kind of not?
Well, to me, it was more. He had you off at the chicane, and then it was a bit messy. That what I was thinking more. What we spoke about was the you and Nico in Bahrain in 14. Okay. That sort of long, sustained.
Yeah, but you're never going to have that in the sport.
No, probably not.
If you look at all the races that have happened, the 40 or whatever, 50 races that whatever amount I've done with the team, that's the only race that you've been on a different tyre strategy under a safety car, which has enabled that. That's the only reason Nico could even get close, because he was on a better tyre at that in that race.
That's right.
Unless again, it's about that delta. But being that you had the difference in tyres was about 7, 8 tenths, whatever it is, so you enabled it made up for that loss in delta and created a great race, which for me is still one of the best battles that I've had. But just unfortunately we've not been in that position. If me and Sebastian start 1 and 2, we're always going to be on the same compounds, most often going through the race, because you go through the similar strategy. Ultimately, you don't have enough life in your tyres to do back and forth like it did. So it's kind of like you've only got time to do that one, because you still got. It's like you've got a quota within the tyre life, and you've got to hit this target with it. So you've got to somehow extend it whilst also get that battle done. So
we've often spoken about this, and I'm interested to know how your very strong belief and faith has worked with you up to this point now, where you can probably look at a poster of yourself and think, is that really me on the 405 freeway or whatever it is?
Yeah.
And I presume still you're the same Lewis Hamilton inside, and those strengths are still just the same?
Yeah, I think so. I think for me, my faith really just helped me grow as a person, helped me figure out my direction, and solidified the confidence and belief I have within myself, realizing the opportunities that I have, the impact that I can have, whether it's with my team, whether it's with fans, whether it's with family, whether it's within relationships. I'm by no means perfect. I'm always learning through things. But I would definitely say that my faith has been a huge player in enabling me to unlock the potential that I have within myself. So I'm happy about that.